In today's video, we're going to talk about the different types of human exemplars. If you remember, I posted a previous video about what is an exemplar. Like, what is it? You do need to have one to play Mirandus, at least in this upcoming playtest. But what is it? I posted that video. Now I'm going to dive deeper into the specific different types of exemplars. And I'm going to talk specifically about humans because there are 10 different types of humans. There's 5 dwarves, 5 orcs, 5 halflings, and 5 elves, and I'll cover those races in a future video. So if I did all 30 different types of exemplars, this video would take forever. So these are humans only, and we're going to talk about the different types of exemplars, and that's what their bonuses are, what these exemplars can do, stuff like that. But first, my name is Duyo, and if you're into Mirandus, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel because that's all we talk about here. And if you want to join part of the conversation of Mirandus and get in on like party finding chat and buy sell trade chat, I post daily tip videos for Mirandus in it. Link to the Discord to that community is going to be in the description below. Go ahead and join it, and we can get a Mirandus chat going on where we talk about it every single day. I think that would be enjoyable for everybody. But let's dive on into human exemplars. Okay, so the first human exemplar we're going to talk about are the alchemists. The little flavor text here says the art of potion making is never an instinctive skill, but one that must be learned through years of education and experimentation. Mastery of it requires nearly limitless patience and pure understanding of all elements that make up the world around us. Many agree that the greatest creators of potions are members of the elite human guild known as the alchemists. Their knowledge is so vast that they can craft the most valued potions and most delicate elixirs from local ingredients no matter their location in the world. Alchemists are good to know, for through their potions they can sometimes help you with impossible tasks. But be warned, they are strikingly aware of their skill and usually carry heavy egos. As exemplars, alchemists receive a bonus to potion making and are the type of person you want in your group if you plan on exploring some of the most dangerous reaches of Mirandus. And their ability description is bonus to potion making. So these guys, well, they get bonus to potion making. Potions can do anything from heal you. They might make potions to heal your stamina as well. We'll probably end up getting buffs like a potion that increases your attack, your defense, your whatever for a certain amount of time. And these potions, as it says, will sometimes help you with impossible tasks. So you'll want to be all potioned up before you fight the bosses. And definitely, as with any MMORPG, you're going to want to have your health potions. Now, these exemplars are crafters, right? And the items that they're crafting are consumables. What that means is they don't just craft it one time. Like you would craft a sword one time, somebody would use it, and that's it. You sell the sword one time. Consumable means somebody is going to use it and it disappears. So you drink the health potion, it's gone. They're going to have to buy another one from you. So crafters of consumable items in general are good money makers because there's always going to be a demand for them. Like people are going to drink your health potions, they're always going to need more and more health potions. So if you like alchemy, if you like crafting potions, if you want to have a exemplar that's good at making Materium, then an alchemist might be good for you because they craft a consumable and it's going to be a fairly expensive consumable because some of the buffing potions that help you with impossible tasks like fighting bosses, the top players of the server are going to need those things to be fighting those bosses, and they'll be getting it from you, right? So very good exemplar to have and pretty straightforward. Like you get the bonus to potion making, not too much confusion there. Now, what it does say here is that they can create potions and elixirs from ingredients no matter their location in the world. Now, when you craft stuff, you have to go to a crafting shop, right? Like a woodworking station, uh, archery range, Fletcher shop, whatever, a forge to make blacksmithing items, stuff like that. But these guys, they can actually craft on the fly, it looks like. We are unsure of a lot of these mechanics, so a lot of this is speculation. But let's say I would imagine that they could craft basic healing potions and stuff like that. And some of the more complicated things, they would have to go to an alchemy shop, or else what would be the point of an alchemy shop? Well, to sell potions, but like typically that's where you're going to craft them as well. So, can they craft any potion from anywhere, or only basic potions and they have to do the more complicated ones from a shop, but it does say the most valued potions and most delicate elixirs, so we'll have to see. All right, and then scrolling down, we have the cartographer. These are going to be people who make maps. It is a powerful gift to view and understand the world from an accurate perspective. Many of the greatest geniuses throughout the generations of Mirandus have possessed this gift, using it to create legendary maps that recount a lesser known history of the land. Without the geographical story that maps can tell, explorers could never have conquered the wild regions, passed through the wastelands, or sailed the vast and mighty seas. Today, the legacy of the legendary map makers of old lives through the human exemplars known as the cartographers. They are born with innate senses of direction, navigation, and distances. They are first recognized for their skills when, as small children, often toddlers, they were found carefully studying their surroundings and drawing maps in the dirt whose intricacies go beyond their years. Once the cartographer's skills have been fully developed as an adult, they are able to piece the world together into a tapestry of maps with ease. These exemplars receive a powerful bonus to all map creation, and then they get a bonus to map creation. So these guys are going to be creating maps, and there's a couple of different types of maps. So think of a globe, that would be like a worldwide map. Think of a map of your country. That's going to have a large region, and it'll tell you where the cities are, but it's not going to tell you how to get from your house to the Wendy's across town, right? So you're going to have smaller regional maps that's going to tell you how to get to specific locations within a region. So from your town, how do you get to this mine or this forest or this dungeon, stuff like that. So there's different levels of maps right there. And then, as we know, when you sell, you can find buried treasure and stuff like that. And if you have a cartographer along with you on the ship, can they map out like island locations where buried treasure would be? Who knows? That's something we'll have to find out in game. One thing I would be really curious to see is as they grow in skill level, can they create fake maps? We're not going to have many maps. We're not going to have a world map that you can just pull up. You're going to have to know your way around, or you're going to have to buy a map from one of these cartographers. And that's pretty cool, and it makes Mirandus a little bit harder and something you don't see in most games nowadays. But what if they could create a fake map? What if they really like they found a jewel deposit, like a really rare jewel in the mountains, and they don't want somebody to know about it. So they say that area is like just barren wasteland or something. So nobody goes there, and they can hoard that for themselves because they created a fake map. Or if they could create the fake map and somebody else was honest and put it there, now you have two different maps of the same region that have different information. Which one is the correct one? That would be just really interesting. I mean, I'm not saying it would be good or bad. I'm just saying it would be interesting. And more interesting the game is, the better, right? So that would be kind of cool. I kind of hope they implement fake maps in the game. As much as I hope I don't get one, it would still be very interesting. But again, these are another exemplar that's pretty easy to understand, pretty straightforward. You roam around the region, you create a map, and you sell those maps to people because everybody's going to need a map because we're not going to have many maps. So fairly straightforward exemplar here. And also think about it, you'll be exploring different areas all over the place. So if you like exploring, this would be a good exemplar for you. Moving on to the goldsmiths. The world of Mirandus is an incredibly abundant place full of precious metals, valuable resources, and priceless jewels and gems. An exemplar guild of humans called goldsmiths has spent many generations perfecting the craft of working with precious metals, particularly gold. These metals seem to come to life under the agile fingertips and quality tools of the goldsmiths. No matter where they roam in the world, a goldsmith is always able to find work, crafting gold and silver into exquisitely beautiful jewelry. As exemplars, goldsmiths receive a bonus to jewelry production, which makes them some of the most prized artisans throughout the land, and then their ability description is bonus to jewelry crafting. So these guys are crafters. They craft jewelry for you. There will be jewels, and spoiler alert for a future video, there is a dwarf that is specifically good at finding jewels while mining, and they'll take those jewels plus it looks like silver and gold ore and create jewelry, and these jewelries will give you, stats, buffs, whatever your gear is going to give you. I would imagine jewels would be a little bit rarer, and then I would imagine that silver and gold ore versus like iron ore would be a little bit more rare. So these guys are going to be messing with a lot of rare resources, and which would probably make jewelry a little bit more expensive to craft, but also a little bit more expensive to sell to other people. So these are going to be like your high-end crafters, I would say. More rare resources required, but more expensive and better Materium that you could probably sell these for. So that's the goldsmith, another crafting human. And so as you've noticed, we got the alchemists are crafters, the cartographers, they're explorers, but they craft maps and sell them. And then the goldsmith are crafters. A lot of the humans are going to be gatherers and crafters. A lot of the other races are going to specialize in other areas, but humans make great gatherers and they make great crafters. All right, moving on to the next one, we have the green cloak, and this is what I personally have. So I really like green cloaks. I think they are going to be very utilized, very necessary, and always have a need. They get a bonus to wood gathering and carpentry, so two bonuses there. And it's two things that are always going to be in demand. So that's gathering wood and then crafting the wood into like wooden poles for spears or axes or hammers, or for upgrading buildings, or I would imagine like bows and arrows and stuff like that, or at least the wood that's required to make the bows, and then probably arrows as well. And then ships, because ships are going to be a thing here. So many different things are going to require wood. There's trees everywhere, so it's going to be easy to find the wood, and then they get a bonus to chopping down the wood. So no matter if you're a gatherer, but let's go ahead and read some of this text. I kind of got ahead of myself here. Some humans just seem to have an innate sense of the woods. They can listen to the pulse of the trees and know how to push wood to its utmost when it comes to building. It is theorized that the Green Cloaks came from a clan deep in the forest where the noise of the cities and the thrum of civilization could not distract them as they communed with nature. They possessed the ability to make wood do things most other craftsmen could only dream of, both in terms of cutting and crafting. If you need a clear land to plant a farm, having a green cloak at your side will give you a substantial bonus in clearing, but also in turning that wood into something useful. As exemplars, the green cloaks are unparalleled in their connection to the forest and trees. And then again, ability description is bonus to wood gathering and carpentry. So yeah, these guys get two bonuses, which I think is really cool. Because of each human, there's going to be 2,500 of each. And if you're these dudes, the goldsmiths, nothing wrong with goldsmiths. It's just the closest example. Um, they get one bonus. So all 22,500 goldsmiths are going to be trying to craft jewelry. However, half of these guys are going to be gathering wood, and half of them are going to be crafting the wood. So you get less competition to try to be at the very top of your field because you could be trying to gather wood, or you could be trying to be the very best in crafting the wood. Either way, you're going to have about half as many people as every single one of these is going to be trying to do the same thing. So I think that's really cool. And also, as I've already mentioned, wood is going to be very, very needed in so many different crafting recipes. So if you're wood gathering, you're not going to have a hard time trying to sell it to somebody because there's so many different people who's going to be needing that wood. And if you're crafting the wood, again, that wood can go to bows, the poles for spears, hammers, axes, all of that kind of stuff, for upgrading buildings, for ships. So there's so many different types of items that will require wood when crafting them. And then another cool thing about them, instead of just crafting, like these guys are going to be pretty much exploring only. These guys are going to be pretty much crafting only. These guys, if you're gathering wood, you're going out in the wild, not too deep out in the wild, and then you go back into town. So if you want a mixture of town life and the adventure, like the Green Cloaks is for you, and naturally they're going to have the axe. See, you kind of see the axe in the background. So you kind of have a weapon with you already. I'm not sure if tools and weapons will be two separate things, because in some games they are separate. In some games, they are the same. So if you could use that axe to chop down a couple of goblins that are in the way, then that saves you a weapon slot as well because you already need that weapon or that tool to be gathering wood, right? So that's really cool. I really like green cloaks, and I personally have a green cloak, and it's what I plan to play. Next is the pit fighters. And the pit fighters are said to be the roughest and toughest of the humans. With the rough beginning, the pit fighters are strong in fights in the arena and frequently receive the prize. They get a bonus to fighting empty handed. That's very short text. But yeah, that's what they get. They get a bonus to fighting empty handed. We don't have too much information about classes yet. If there is a monk class that like fights empty-handed, a kung fu class, however they want to call it, if there's an empty-handed class that specializes in it, these guys could be cool. If there's not, they're going to be basically useless. Sure, you can have tavern brawls. Maybe you bet a little bit of money, a little bit of Materium, whatever you want to bet on it, and these guys are going to win. You know, okay, that's cool. They're going to be in arenas. I would still say if you put a pit fighter in an arena with like somebody with a sword and a shield, this guy's going to be at a disadvantage. But if you put it against another pit fighter and they're just punching each other in the face, that could be cool to watch. Overall, I would say this would not be a good exemplar. However, keep in mind, if there is like a monk class and they can actually be useful with their fists, as useful as a warrior would be with like a sword and shield or an axe or a spear or whatever, then these guys could actually be really good because they don't have to buy that weapon. It's kind of like the green cloak. You already bought the axe for chopping down trees. You don't need to buy a separate weapon for fighting. These guys wouldn't need to buy any weapons for fighting, which would save them money. The less equipment you got to buy, the more materium you can save for yourself, and so there's that. Overall, I would say a weapon, I mean, you spend more money on a weapon because it's actually useful in a fight, right? So I think these won't make the best fighters. They also won't make the best gatherers or crafters. So I would give these a pass, but that's just me. If you do like the PvP, because it says they'll be good in arena, maybe arenas would require no weapons because you're just like knocking each other out instead of killing, let's say. So no weapons. If that's the type of playstyle you like, go ahead and get one. Overall, I think they're just not as good as some of the other exemplars. But moving on, the Rider of the North, I think this one's going to be a really good one. The greatest riders of Mirandus come from the high plains of the north, where it's said that humans are born with the wandering blood. Truly, these nomadic riders take joy in endless travel and free-spirited adventure. A rider of the north travels greater distances in a day than most do in their entire lives. Their horses are majestic creatures of breathtaking beauty, with whom their riders have a powerful, unspoken connection. It is said that a rider of the North is possessed with such selfless valiance that he will lay down his life for his horse in an instant if necessary. The horses would do the same. Riders of the North receive powerful bonuses to all horse related skills and abilities. And then again, you see in the ability description bonus to all horse skills and abilities. So these guys will be cool because I think they will make the very fastest players in the entire game. Horses will be able to outrun any race. You know, some races may do better in speed than others, but no matter what, a horse is going to do better. And these guys get a bonus to horses. Most likely, they could travel farther. Maybe the horse uses less stamina, or maybe the horse goes faster. Either way, as far as traveling goes, these guys can travel farther, they can travel faster, and even if they aren't the best gatherers or crafters or in combat, just being the fastest in the entire game is going to be a huge boon. It's going to be a huge bonus to a lot of players. That only matters if you have a horse. So if you're one of these dudes without a horse, then you are absolutely average in every single category and you would not be that good. But with the horse, you'd be the fastest and travel the farthest. And then keep in mind, there's no fast travel in Mirandus, and there's no shared inventory. Like if you are using a warehouse in one city, those same items are going to be in that warehouse only and not in a warehouse in any other city. Same thing with shops. If you're trying to sell something, you're selling something in that one shop in that one city, not every shop in the whole world, right? So to transport items, it's going to be a long and tedious task to get a bunch of items from one city to another. And these guys, that they could really shine here. They could really help out with that. So transportation in the future, maybe there would be like wagons or cargo trains, whatever, that the horses carriages. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. And then also, there will be horse breeding in the game. And these guys most likely will receive a bonus to horse breeding. Breeding animals in games is not something that I ever do. But if that is a type of gameplay that you like, then you can play these guys as well. All right, and then scrolling down, the next on the list. Oh, and by the way, what I'm scrolling down on is a website called Mirandus Hub. One of the guildies in Masters of Materium, a fellow guild member, created this site, and like he's got the different types of building, the different type of landies, the different type of exemplars, and he's created a pretty good website here, and that's what I'm using to read the description of these guys. So shout out to Mirandus Hub, and I'll put a link in the description to this website below, but it's literally just mirandushub.com. But scrolling down to the next exemplar is the Seafarer. You are a mariner, a seaman. You're envied by those who are bound to their landlocked responsibilities, and you're revered by the most civilized residents of towns and cities. They are ignorant to your existence. They don't feel the same sense of abandonment as you when you're gently rocked by the surf. They have no idea of the thrilling rush of adrenaline that comes with a squall as it approaches to swallow your crew and ship in a ravenous chaos. They do not truly reside, as you are well aware. Seafarers are compelled to explore beyond the seas with no restrictions. If a seafarer knows how to get to an uncharted island distant from home, they can go there on their journey without risking too much. Seafarers can travel farther and faster than other players. In fact, if a non-seafaring adventurer of Mirandus has route instructions to a tremendous treasure trove hundreds of miles out to sea, they should contact with the seafarer to get them there safely for a price, of course. On a tossed ship, seamen are at ease and they navigate by the stars. They can row more efficiently and use less energy than other people. They can go farther and more securely. They may avoid random encounters and seek out hidden marvels using hints and maps. The seafarer may find anything in the open sea as long as they know its location. And they get a bonus to sailing. So in Mirandus, there will be ships. However, you won't be able to manually pilot the ship. You have to own the ship and you have to know where you're going. And then the ship kind of takes you from point A to point B. And most likely that will require a certain amount of resources. It will require a certain amount of energy. And these guys can go faster and they can use less resources, less energy. So that's a big benefit. But also along the way, there is a chance to spot like uncharted islands with hidden treasure And these guys are more likely to uncover that hidden treasure. And there will be random encounters, whether that's sea monsters, whether that's weather that affects you. And these guys are more likely to avoid those types of situations. And so, if you are somebody who wants to go up and down the coastline on your ship looking for hidden treasure, because you can bet that the Mirandus team is going to put some good material in that treasure, then a seafarer is for you, or you'll want to hire one to take you on a trip because they can do so faster and more safely, right? So yeah, these guys are cool. I probably won't be using too much boats or going out to sea, but I know a lot of people do like that kind of stuff. I know like Black Desert Online has a whole dedicated section for water and stuff. And if that's for you, then here you go. The Safari might be a good exemplar for you. And then scrolling down, the strong hand. No matter where you find yourself in the world of Miranda's, you can always count on the craftsmanship of the human exemplars known as the strong hands. Strong hands can be found in nearly every town and village. Explorers have relied on the creation of their hands through the darkest nights, the coldest days, and the most frightening adventures. The legacy of the strong hands have been handed down through countless generations of the hardest working people in the world. These craftsmen despise lethargy and take delight in their most productive days. For the strong hands, ingenuity is more than a job, it's a way of life. If you are fortunate enough to have a strong hand for a friend, your quests and journeys will certainly unfold with greater ease. Through a trait called expediency, these exemplars receive a speed bonus to all crafting. And then the ability description is bonus to all crafting. These guys are going to be master crafters, and they're going to be good at crafting weapons, crafting armors, crafting alchemy, crafting food, crafting arrows, crafting whatever you want to craft, right? Where the green cloaks are specialized in crafting wood, and the alchemists are specialized in crafting potion, and then they're just average in every single other. These guys are going to be basically the second best in every single crafting category. They're not going to be as good as the exemplars that's their bonus. So, the strong hand isn't going to outcraft jewelry compared to a goldsmith, but they will be the second best, and they will be the second best in every crafting category. It's kind of like Jack of all trades, master of none. And if you just know that you want to craft in a lot of different categories, then this could be a good exemplar for you because you're not going to be restricted to one specific thing. You'll be able to utilize different resources. You'll be able to craft whatever's the hot item at that time. Scrolling down to the next one, the true provider. This is going to be the MVP of the Masters of Materium Guild, which I'm in. And if you want to learn more about Morena's guilds and Masters of Materium, you can check out this video where I explain a lot about guilds and what Masters of Materium is all about. And yeah, they're going to treasure the true providers because they get a bonus to all farming and ranching abilities. And then it says here the greatest skills of farming have always belonged to humans who experience an overwhelming and inexplicable drive to provide for and nurture those around them. They do not judge and they do not play favorites. They derive their happiness from creating, producing, and distributing the fruits of their labors. The most elite of these human servant heroes the most elite of these human servant heroes of the world are the exemplars known as the true providers. The endless joy they derive from their actions result in additional heroic bonuses to all farming and ranching activity. So there's going to be different types of food in Miranda's, and you can craft things like bread through wheat, and then you can craft hot meals that would require like meat that you get from ranching and butchering animals. And then the people you want to do the farming and the ranching would be the true providers. So they don't necessarily get a bonus to cooking the food. That would be another exemplar that I'm going to cover in a future video, but they get a bonus to harvesting the wheat, to milking the cows, getting the eggs from the chicken, or just getting the butchering the meat from the chickens and cows and stuff like that. So these guys are going to be very beneficial if you want to create food. And food is going to be very necessary for every exemplar is going to be required to eat food while they're playing. And again, like we talked about with the potions, food are consumable. So there's always, like, once you eat it, it's gone. You're going to need to buy more food. And so the people crafting food are going to constantly need to be crafting, which means that the true providers are going to constantly be needing to gather the ingredients to create the food. So these guys are going to be very high in demand. And if you like gathering more than crafting, then this would be a good class for you. And then if you like things like Harvest Moon or Farmville, this would be a good exemplar to play as well. It's a little bit more peaceful. You're just out there on your farm doing your farm stuff. Okay, and then we have the Weaver. This is going to be another crafting exemplar. The children of the weavers often are given a shuttle and thread to play with when they are very young. The first piece of woven material produced by their hands is always a treasured family heirloom. It is said that the weavers have the ability to produce some of the finest garments in the time it takes for an average loom operator to create some simple rough spun. Whether it is in the creation of fine woven cloth as a crafting supply or the manufacture of certain types of armor, the weavers possess the ability to create something almost before anyone else has even begun. As an exemplar, they will be unparalleled in their cloth production ability, making them very rare indeed. And then they get a bonus to cloth and clothing generation. There's going to be different types of armor. You're going to have your light armor, medium armor, and heavy armor. And the heavy armor is going to be metal. Medium armor is going to be like leather. And then these guys are going to create the light armor. Now, something that was mentioned in another YouTube video about Mirandus was that the light armors are going to belong to the magic casters, which will be the highest DPS in the game, meaning that the very top DPS in the game, killing the bosses, so like the top players who are going to spend the most on the top gear are going to be buying cloth armor. And these guys, the weavers, are going to be creating that cloth armor. So right there, you already have potential to make a lot, as well as was pointed out in that same video that a lot of these other people, like let's go up here, the true providers, you're just farming. You're not going to be in heavy chain armor, heavy plate armor, nothing like that. You'll probably just be wearing like normal clothes, and that's going to be produced by the weavers. The weavers might also be making cloth for like sails for the ships, and then they might also be making cloth that would be required for just as an ingredient that might be required for some medium armor, maybe even some heavy armor recipes. So, a couple of different things will require cloth, and then of course light armor. That's going to be the clothing generation. And then a lot of the townsfolk, a lot of the crafters, the gatherers that don't need combat, they'll probably be wearing light cloth as well. So that's where these guys come in. However, I would like to point out that okay, you can create cloth and clothing armor, cloth armor, light armor, however you want to say it. But that's pretty much it. So you get a crafting bonus. You don't have a crafting and gathering bonus because it doesn't mention gathering cotton, gathering flax, gathering whatever you're going to be gathering as the ingredients required to make the cloth. So we didn't really have that. I'm not sure. Probably the true providers are going to be the ones that get the bonus to gathering cotton because I would consider that a farming ability. Um, and then these guys are just crafters. So where the green cloaks get a bonus to gathering and crafting, some of these classes only get a bonus to crafting, which I also personally think that makes the green cloaks a little bit a step above a lot of these exemplars. But that's just me. but I do have a green cloak, so that literally is me. And as you can see, oh, and that was the last human, by the way. And as you can see, a lot of these, like boom, crafter, gatherer, crafter. This is going to be an exception, but and they're going to be an exception, but boom, crafter and gatherer, crafter, kind of crafter, kind of explorer, and then crafter. So humans make a lot of crafters, a lot of gatherers, and a lot of the other types, like the adventuring type, you're going to see more in the second half of these races. Dwarves are very crafting and gathering as well, and then these are adventurers, and these are combat specialists, which would be raid boss taker downers. Let's put it that way. All right, that's it for human exemplars. Did you find one that you like that matches your playstyle? If not, don't worry, I have more exemplar types coming up in future videos when we cover orcs, dwarves, halflings, and elves. So go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on those, and make sure that you find the playstyle that you like, because remember, the playtest is in only 2 months from now, and you want to get ahead of the game on this. So go ahead and find out which exemplar you like, get it, and you can join in on the play test and start earning Materium already. Still unclear exactly what an exemplar is and would like to find out more before you purchase one? Go ahead and check out this video where I talk all about what is an exemplar. I explain in great detail there, and maybe that'll help clarify some things from this video. But thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.